Hello, this is Ernest Burley, your CIA, your cool insurance agent, back at you again with some more great information on insurance. Again, I'm a licensed insurance agent with over 30 years experience in the insurance industry. I'm licensed throughout the country. I have clients throughout the country, and I specialize in all lines of insurance. So auto insurance, life insurance, disability, homeowners, renters, condos, churches, business owners, long-term care, disability, whatever it may be in the insurance arena. My firm specializes in it, and I help clients across the country in those various capacities. Now, the purpose of this podcast is to educate you, to enlighten you, and to empower you with unbiased and objective information, so you can make clear, easy decisions for you and your family. It's all about getting you the right information so you can make the right decisions. I would love for you to be my client. Hey, I'll give you my connect information at the end of the podcast. But if you don't, at least you have the right information so you can make sure that you're not being taken advantage of. So that's what this is all about. All right, let's get at it. I don't like having long intros. So the name of this podcast is the top 5 reasons to give your child a perm. Okay. I know y'all are looking at me crazy. Ernest, what are you talking about? Give my child a perm. Have you lost your mind? No, I have not. This perm has no toxins, no negative side effects. It has no burns. Your ends will thank you. It's just organic growth, and it's guaranteed growth at that, right? So this perm is a good perm for your child. I wouldn't tell you anything different. I wouldn't advise you to give your child a perm if it was going to hurt your child. So no toxins, no adverse negative reactions, no poisons. It's just a great, great, great perm for your child. Okay. Now the perm I'm talking about for your child is permanent life insurance. Permanent life insurance. Give your child a leg up. All right. So I'm not lying, right? There's no toxins, no burns, no negative side effects, organic growth. Permanent life insurance has organic growth, and it also has organic growth in addition to guaranteed growth in the policy. Okay. And your ends will thank you. You know what ends I mean, that's an old school term for money. Get those ends. So your ends will thank you. Permanent life insurance, let's just jump into it. Top 5 reasons to give your child a perm. This puts your child in an advantageous situation, and that's what we want to do, right? And I'm going to talk about some good reasons why adults should have a perm too. So here's reason number 1. Here's top reason number 1. In no particular order, but here's reason number 1 out of the top 5 to give your child a perm. Age and health. So your child is much younger, so they're going to get a better rate. The younger you are, the less life insurance costs. So the age of the child and the health of the child work in their favor, so they will have a low rate. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2, that low rate is locked in for life, for life. So whether the child is 1 month old, 8 years old, 80 years old, 100 years old, it's the same rate that they locked in as a child. That's reason number 2. That's a super great reason that the rate does not change on a perm, right? Reason number 3, the benefit is locked in for life. So whatever benefit you get for your child, 100,000, 50,000, 10,000, whatever you decide to secure and give them an advantage in life, that is locked in for life. So it's the same at age 1, 5, 10, 50, 100 years old, same benefit locked in for life. That's reason number 3. Reason number 4 is perms have guaranteed cash value built into them. So there's a guaranteed cash value feature, and the cash value grows tax deferred. So as the cash value is organically growing, guaranteed inside the policy, you're not paying taxes on it from year to year. I told you your ends will thank you, right? Your ends, that cash will thank you because you're not paying tax on that growth every year. That's reason number 4. Now, reason number 5 is not really a condition of the policy, but this is something I normally recommend. I don't even recommend. If I write a policy for a child or young adult, I put this on every policy. It's called a GIO, or guaranteed insurability option, or guaranteed insurability rider. Some companies call it a GIR. And what this does is it allows you to secure more coverage for the child later on in life. The ages normally start in their mid-20s and go to the mid-40s. where the company sends out a letter to the child or to the owner of the policy. We're going to talk about the parties to an insurance contract. So the owner will get that letter and say, hey, you bought this policy. Here's the rider option for the child to get more coverage. So it normally starts at age 25 and every third year thereafter. So age 25, 28, 31, 34, 37, 40, 43, and 46. And some companies go out to age 49. So that's really 8 option years, possibly 9 option years, but we'll say 8 option years. So that's 8 opportunities for the child to get more life insurance without a medical exam. And guess what? The initial policy had no medical exam either, because life companies don't make children give blood and urine. They do that to adults, right? So the child got the initial policy without a medical exam. And then the GIO, the guaranteed insurability option, is going to allow the child to get more coverage without a medical exam. So here's an example. Say you get your child a $100,000 policy. They're 1 year old, 5 year old, whatever. And then at age 25, they get the letter. Now, you don't have to exercise it. You can just say, well, I don't want it, but you can't go back. Once you skip it, you can't go back. So if the child gets to age 26 or 27, you're, oh man, I want to get that 100,000. I could have gotten it at age 25. Well, too late, too bad. Have to wait till the next option, which is 28. All right, so let's do an example. Say you get these options, you have a $100,000 policy that was initially written, no medical underwriting, right? They kind of float policies through for children, as long as they don't have like any serious medical conditions or what have you. So you have that $100,000 policy, and then you have 8 option years. If the child or owner exercises each one of those option years, that's another $800,000 of life insurance without a medical exam. So that's almost $1 million of life insurance that child has without any medical exam. The initial 100,000 plus the $800,000 in options, right? That's 8 option years, $100,000 per year. That's $900,000 of coverage for that child. Now, it's not a child anymore. At 46, they're not a child, right? So in the mid-20s, as you get older, you get more responsibilities, right? You get married, you have children, you have a house, you have responsibilities. So those option years will be coming at a real good time, right? When you have more responsibilities and you really need that coverage. So that's a great way to give your child a leg up and give them an advantage in life. Okay, so those are the top 5 reasons to give your child a perm for sure. All right, so now here are some good reasons why an adult should get a perm. Basically, a lot of the same reasons. So the perm that you put in your hair, that's not going to last for a life, right? I don't know how long perms last. How long they last? A week, a month? I don't know. They don't last your whole life. Let's put it that way. But a permanent life insurance policy lasts your entire life, right? That's an advantage of having that. So don't get stuck at age 60 or 70 or 80 or 100 years old trying to get some life insurance. Don't get stuck there because you didn't plan early. Now, if you're there, hey, it is what it is. Get something in place, something permanent in place. But ideally, you don't want to get to that point where you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s. And I get calls all the time where clients either themselves are trying to get coverage or a child of a parent is trying to get coverage for that parent because they don't have any coverage in place because they relied on group coverage or something else. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So don't put yourself in that situation. Okay. Now, here's another reason: the rate and the coverage. We talked about that before. The rate is locked in for life. The coverage is locked in for life. So you don't have to worry about your premium going up, the benefit changing over time, the benefit terminating, because term policies do eventually terminate. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to rely on group coverage because normally if you leave the group, you can't take the group plan with you. That's why it's called group coverage, right? Normally you can't take the group policy with you. Now, every now and then, there are companies that allow you to take parts of that group plan with you. So here are 3 questions to ask on those group plans, right? So the first one you want to ask is it portable? Is any part of the group policy or group benefits portable? And portable means, can you take it with you? So if you decide to resign and become an entrepreneur or retire or whatever, can you take it with you? If you can't take it with you, then do not pass go, right? It's a done deal. There's no need to ask any more questions. And that's normally going to be the case, because if you're not part of the group, then you can't keep the group coverage. But in those exceptions where you can take part of the group plans with you, ask these 2 additional questions. First question is, okay, we're talking life insurance or group life. The first question is, how is the rate going to change on the life policy throughout the duration of the policy? We're going to want to know that because 9 times out of 10, it's going to change throughout the life of the policy. The second question is, how will the benefit change throughout the life of the policy? So if you are able to take it, you want to know how the rate is going to change and how the benefit is going to change over the duration of the policy, because they are going to change. I've dealt with this long enough. I've seen this dog and pony show. Okay. Now, even if you can't take it with you, you should always have coverage outside of work, that you're not relying on work for this coverage. Just get your own permanent outside coverage. So no matter what you do, whether you're an entrepreneur, you work for someone, or leave the country, whatever, you have the coverage in place. Okay, very important to do that. So get a perm. All right, there are two main types of perms. Okay, you have whole life insurance and you have guaranteed universal life insurance. Now, I've warned several times. I don't know if I've done a podcast on it, but I think I have, where we talked about traditional universal life policies. I'm not an advocate of traditional universal life policies. So I advocate guaranteed universal life policy. So here's the thing: whole life, guaranteed universal life. So the reason why I kind of like advise clients to be very wary of universal life policies, traditional universal life policies, is because they don't have a guaranteed death benefit. They don't usually have a guaranteed level premium. And even if you get a guaranteed universal life policy, you want to make sure that it's illustrated properly. Because I've had clients tell me, hey, yeah, I got a guaranteed universal life policy. And I say, yeah, great. Let me take a look at it. And it's guaranteed to like age 70 or age 80. That's come on now. You want it guaranteed. You want to outlive the guarantee, basically. You don't want it guaranteed to where you expect to live past the guarantee. You want it guaranteed to age 100 or 110, to where you know you're not going to exceed that policy. That's the guarantee you want. You don't want them to illustrate it like in a short period of time. So that's what I mean by being very cautious about even guaranteed universal life policies, to make sure they're illustrated properly. And I am going to do a podcast on how to read an illustration, 3 easy steps on how to read an illustration. Don't have time to do that now, but I'll drop that podcast so you'll know how to read an illustration and make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of, or being deceived, or some miscommunication was going on, or what have you. Okay. Now, permanent life insurance, when people say permanent life insurance, that's normally equated to whole life insurance. Whole life insurance is very conservative, very reliable. It's got a guaranteed premium, guaranteed death benefit, guaranteed cash value. Very, very few moving parts, not a lot of moving parts, just a very conservative, practical type of plan. Universal life policies, not so much. A lot of moving parts, so you need to be familiar with those moving parts when you're talking about universal life policies, especially traditional universal life policies, which I do not endorse. Guaranteed universal life policies I do endorse, but you want to make sure that it's illustrated properly so you outlive the guarantee, basically. Okay. Now, another great reason adults should have perms in their lives, they should have a perm, is the cash value feature of it. I have some clients, I mean, the cash value grows to tens of thousands of dollars, and some clients hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time they retire. And people look at that and they're like, wow, that's pretty nice. So when I retire, I can supplement my retirement income with the cash value that's in this policy. Because when you retire, you can pull the money and use it for whatever you want. You can take a loan against the cash value. Now, when you take that loan, they're going to charge you interest for the loan. It's not an interest. So it's probably around 6% interest or what have you. But people don't care. They're like, okay, I'm going to take $100,000 loan. I'll help my child through college. I'll buy a second home, or I'll travel the country or travel the world, what have you. Now, if something unfortunate happens to you, the life company is just going to subtract out that loan minus the interest that's owed on it, and they'll pay the balance of the death benefit. So, I mean, it won't void your policy. Your policy will still be intact. So if you have, say, a $500,000 policy and you take $100,000 loan and you owe $10,000 of interest on it because it was outstanding for a substantial period of time, if something unfortunate happens to you, you'll pay 500 minus 100 minus the $10,000. So minus 110, so to pay what, 390, right? Okay, a lot of people are cool with that. So it's each to each his own. So the cash value goes in that policy pretty substantially over time. You can supplement your retirement. And here's another thing people love about whole life insurance. Some people don't like the fact that they're going to pay for a policy for an extended period of time and never get their money back. With whole life insurance, you get all of your money back, because after a certain amount of time, the premiums that you pay will be less than the cash value in the policy. And that normally comes around that 20, 25 year mark. where your cash value actually exceeds the premiums you've paid into the policy. So you can cash the policy out and you'll get back more than you put into the policy. So it's a benefit all around. You had the benefit while you needed it. So if something unfortunate happened, it would have paid out the benefit to your beneficiaries. And if you say, hey, I don't need this policy anymore, I'm 70, 80, 90 years old, I want to use the cash value to do something else with, you can cash out the policy and you will have gotten more cash back than you would have put in premiums. People love that aspect about whole life insurance. Now, here's another aspect. Here's another reason why adults should have a perm. Now, a perm policy, a perm will cost you less than a term over the long haul. I know it sounds crazy, but it will. So I don't have time to do the whole illustration now, but say you have a 30-year term policy. After 30 years, the rate's going to go up crazy, right? It's going to go through the roof. Now, if you continue to pay those premiums, normally within about 5 years or so, if you try to keep up with those increasing premiums, and they increase every year, not just one increase every year, you will have the whole life policy just be plugging along with that same rate. It seemed more expensive in the beginning, but it's the same rate. It's like the tortoise and the hare, right? Same rate. And by that 5-year mark or so, if you were still paying for that term policy, you will have paid more cumulative premiums in that term policy than you would have for the perm. There you go, right? So over the long term, a perm is much better because you're going to pay less for it. You can get all your money back. The rate doesn't change. The benefit doesn't change. They have cash value build up in it. There are all types of advantages to having a perm, okay? It's not toxic and it doesn't burn. It's organic growth and your ends will thank you, just like I said before. All right, so quick perm comparison. Say that 3 times quickly. Quick perm comparison. You have 3 main perm policies, okay, or perms. You have your whole life, which that's the best one right there. Okay, it's more conservative. It's just straightforward, no bunch of bells and whistles to it. It's conservative and reliable. It has a guaranteed cash value, guaranteed minimum, guaranteed level benefit, and a guaranteed premium. Very simple product. Your next best option is the guaranteed universal life policy, because you can illustrate those out to be a guaranteed product, and they do actually cost a little bit less too. So if budget is a factor, then I normally write a guaranteed universal life for a policy for a client. But if budget's not a factor, or if it's just a couple bucks more, whole life all the way, because the cash value just blows away the cash value in a guaranteed universal life policy. The cash value in a whole life policy blows away the guaranteed universal life policy cash value. And it normally doesn't cost that much more in premium, but hey, if a person has a budget, we want to work within the budget. Universal life, that's the least favorite because like I said before, the benefit is not guaranteed. The death benefit is not guaranteed. And the common lack of a guaranteed level premium are the 2 main reasons why I don't recommend a traditional universal life policy. So which perm kit is best for you? Which permanent kit is best for you? Got to have something. I've already expressed all the benefits of a permanent policy, right? You should have a perm. Definitely should have a perm. Your children should have a perm. You 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 should. Everybody should have a perm. All right, that's it for today's podcast. Let's do our quick recap. Our recap is perms are good for everybody, right? Perms are good for all. And I've expressed the main reasons for it. It's basically the consistency of them, right? A perm is good for everybody. Everyone should have a perm. The takeaway is get a perm for you and every one of your family members. Everyone in your household should have a perm, even if it's a small amount. I mean, not everyone can afford $1 million or $500,000 perm. 100,000, 10,000, 20,000. Everyone should have some amount of perm in their lives. Okay. Everyone should have a perm. Please, 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 baby, please. All right. I thank y'all for listening. That's it for this podcast. I thank you so much for listening. Please spread this podcast to others and ask them to do the same, and so on and so on and so on. I would greatly appreciate that. If you want to reach out to me and contact me, my email address is ernestburley@gmail.com. That's my full name. JR is Junior, not spelled out, JR abbreviated. So ernestburleyjr@gmail.com is the best way to reach out to me. And that is it. I mean, also you can call my firm. My number is 301-262-2600. Again, 301-262-2600. Like I said, I have clients all over the country, so I'm not stopped by any state lines at all. That's it for today's podcast. Thank you again for listening in. Hey, this is your CIA, your cool insurance agent, Ernest Burley, signing off. Until we speak again, y'all take care and be safe out there.